We are located near the village of Prashiv. There is a pit here with German shot cartridges for MG-34. The necks on the sleeve are bent. Not far away, 15 steps from the pit, we found a German cauldron, but next to it are cans from modern canned goods. Did you remove them? Unfortunately, not all people respect the environment. You can get a closer look at cauldron. There are podraivani from the shovel. This should not be. You need to pay more attention. We are working further. These are fragments of the plane. A good signal. Show it. German color of the Feldgrau. Serious fragments of the plane. Presumably, the plane fell here. We will dig further and look. There is a signal here. Let's dig deeper. These are serious fragments from the plane. Just torn to pieces. In this video, you can see the remains of a German plane, as well as the skeletal remains of the pilot who was inside when he fell. The plane caught fire in the air and flew into the ground at high speed. The remains of the warrior were fragmented. Buttons and personal items were not found. Unfortunately, the personal identification mark will not be found. But thanks to the tablet that was discovered, the so-called nameplate, the number of the aircraft and the identity of the Luftwaffe serviceman were also established. Then you will find out who shot down this plane. This was done by the hero of the Soviet Union. You will learn the name and feats that he performed in the second part. Just rubber. There is something. A fragment came out. Dented. Similar wreckage, as in 2014 during the war in Slavyansk. There is a lot of metal here. Here's what we dug up from the plane. Spare parts. A huge number of parts. Here is a good fragment. There is a part of the radiator there. And another fragment of aluminum. Incomprehensible. Now we will preserve the pit. And later we will continue. Show us what we have on ammunition. Perhaps someone knows what these shells are from. Several pieces of them have already been found in this place. Perhaps with a large caliber machine gun. There are still interesting details. If someone knows what it is, write in the comments. In the place where the plane crashed, we see a possible part of the screw. The radiator. The depth is already chest deep, and there are still objects below. In the future, we will use a tractor, because it is impossible to work with shovels here because of the high depth. We hope that the remains of the pilot will be found and buried. This is the village of Bogorodichnoye district. And here the plane crashed. We have made a decision. Clean up the plot. Set the plane crash square. The square turned out to be huge. A large number of large fragments of the aircraft and human bone remains were found here. Fragments of the pilot's equipment and fragments of weapons were also found. Due to the fact that it was dangerous to use the equipment on this site, because we could damage the upper layer of the earth, which presumably could contain bone remains. We spent the whole day working on expanding the location on my own. You can see a lot of guys from our search team Placked Arm, and also a large number of volunteers are working at this site, where a German plane was shot down. It entered the ground literally 3 meters deep. We will sew everything through a sieve. This is a Luftwaffe buttonhole and a tooth. It is unbent and most likely was in his pocket. Put it aside for the bone remains. It is necessary to dig in carefully, because bone remains come across. Here you can see what was discovered. There was a fire extinguisher in the near our location. Fragments. Part of the rib. There is a part of the cervical vertebra. There are fragments of the skull, the rear part. There is a fragment of a phalanx from a finger. Here is a bird. Such are on the buttonholes. Well, this fighter had it unbent and was lying in his pocket, and a tooth. Fragments of aluminum. We have already made the hole wider. Something metallic scrapes at the bottom. As we work, we will show and comment on what is happening.
Alexei, comment on these items.
This is the sign from the Messerschmitt engine. The engine was a Mercedes company. There were inscriptions all around. Here they are clearly visible. Here are the bone remains of the pelvis. Tubular bones. This is the belt that was fastened to the chair. Apparently, he did not even try to capitulate. Let's help, please. Is there something written? No. Pink primer. The magazine to the Walther pistol. Everything else from him should be there next to him. Wow. Hole. Let's get him upstairs.
Help him.
It is necessary to wash it to consider possible inscriptions. War is the iron of death. You must remember that war is death. That's what's left of the plane. Only scrap metal. And what does war do to people? I wish you all peace over your head. We found a gun. It can be seen that it is in good condition. There should be many other items there. We look more carefully. Museum exhibits. Plane and gun. These are the remnants of that terrible war. You need to look carefully. Maybe a belt and a badge. Now let's take a closer look at it. Overlays on the handle from bakelite. They are burned. This is the kind of gun that was in the holster. The gun of the Walther system. There is a clip inside. The cartridges were knocked out. A museum exhibit. The front sight is missing. This is the lid from the tank. There was fuel here. We will wash it and show all the inscriptions on it later. You can see how deep the hole is.
The rain caught up with us. Here is such a salability. Dora, you have paws like a nutria.
It's a machine gun. There is an armor plate and then there is a barrel. Here's the lid. With such a fall, this object was well preserved. Now we'll look at it and pull it out. The trunk should be long. Now we will try to dig up the plate and we will pull it out. Crane. Pull it out. This is a piece of armor sheet. It's broken. This is a chair. We are sure of it. Here we see the second part of the seat. Carefully. Something looks like a bone. There are also bone remains here. Vasily, pick them up. These are fingers and ribs. The bones were burned. There was mostly dust left. These are all parts of a person. War is death and grief. It looks like buttons. Vasia, let's pull out the second part of the chair, and it will be easier for us to collect the bone remains. We found the pelvis earlier. This is not a bone. The pilot was clamped by a sheet of plane and he remained on the seat. And he burned down. The chair can be restored and used in a museum. Bone fragments. The rib sticks out. I'm collecting it now. All these are fragments of bones. A bunch of all kinds of metal. The bone remains go down. Let's remove the upper part so that it does not interfere with us to dig deeper. Try to pull it out, please. Yes, there is. Here you see a machine gun. This is such a car. Earlier, we found a piece of the shutter and a lid from it. Let's take him up to the top and they'll treat him there. Guys, take this item, be careful, please.
Ну потом обстучим, давай, наверное, дальше.
Some heavy part of the plane.
Я же говорю, что карман.
Something like a pocket watch.
Что оно похоже, я же говорю, что как часики.
Most likely there was a clock.
Часы, наверное, были.
Take this too.
Вот какой-то.
Another item.
Это с него, вот эта, наверное, затворная часть. А нет,
This
это
is an
электрическая,
electric
это
part.
электрическая часть, вот это, да? Привод, наверное.
Private with a machine gun.
Так.
And this is a piece of a machine gun.
Фрагменты. Ух. А десь
I wonder where the gun barrel is.
удевался. А ну-ка принимайте.
The buckle.
Ну да.
There is a lot of metal and water is already leaking.
Вода пошла. Вижу, вижу. Ну, то
Well,
всё хорошо.
for that it is very good to pull out of the water.
Нажимай на серединку.
The next subject pleasantly surprised us. You will be able to see the inscriptions. Here is a possible number of the board and this opportunity to set the name of the soldier. Here's the code. I can almost read it. We will clean it and try to consider the full number. This makes us very happy. Because we need to find out the name of the pilot. From this data, we can determine the name of the soldier who was in the cab of the plane. We have cleaned this subject, and now we can fully consider the text. We read out. The name of the aircraft BF-109G6. Number 15,571.
Завод в Лейпциге номер 24, да.
Вот, можно сказать.
Messerschmitt. This is the fate of the pilot. Thanks to this item, the pilot will be installed. We were not sure what we would establish, but hope dies last and this time it did not die. Thank you very much for your support. We worked for several days in a row and now you see the result of hard work. The aircraft is fully installed. Here is the layout of the fallen warrior. We record the GPS data and coordinates. Go back to the Luftwaffe, to the pilot who died in 1943. His name is Udo Bungard. Participated in combat operations on the East German front since 1943, he had no victories and awards. August 17, 1943 on a BF 109 G6W 15,571 G9 fighter. He was carrying out a task to escort a group of 50 bombers. In an air battle, he was shot down and killed by Yak-1 and La-5 fighters in the Izium area, southeast of the city of Kharkiv, the territory of Ukraine. The most interesting thing is that the crashed plane was located 50 kilometers from the city of Izium. And this pilot did not have a award, but was shot down by a Soviet pilot, who later received the Order of the Red Star. We hope that in the next video you will learn the name and history of this Soviet pilot, which shot down more than one aircraft from the accompanying group. We look further, draw conclusions for ourselves. Perhaps the German Luftwaffe pilots were not all the best, and there were also pilots among the Soviets who could give a selection. I would like to emphasize that the number of downed aircraft is located on the territory of the Donetsk and Kharkiv regions. Therefore, the search for downed German and Soviet aircraft continues. At the moment, 2 German aircraft have already been raised, and there is also information on the second Soviet bomber. Dear subscribers, thank you for watching our historical channel and sharing it with your friends. We are trying to show the tragedy of humanity, the so-called war. There are still many fallen soldiers who have not returned home from the cursed war. We will return them. We wish you peace and prosperity. See you soon.